Happy Friday, everyone. I hope that this Friday actually feels like a real hard-earned Friday. I know with quarantine, every day kind of started to blur into the other. We didn't know which day was what, if it was Monday, Wednesday, Saturday, but today I can say it actually feels like a Friday. Like I earned this day and I'm ready for this weekend. Some good stuff is kicking up, and of course, with good stuff, there's some iffy stuff, but the Florida governor says that he will hit a full phase 1 button come Monday, which means a lot more stuff is opening up. What does this mean for the sports world? Well, earlier in the week, the Florida governor also announced the fact that sports teams are welcome from anywhere and everywhere to come to Florida. We will find a place for you to operate and fulfill your seasons and your practices. Well, as soon as he said that, we knew that that was kind of the sound all button to our teams starting to get something going. So the NFL has discussed players returning if they sign a risk waiver so that they can get back in action faster. In other words, if you say, hey, I'll play and the risk is mine, being in the facilities, being around people, being on the field, nobody else is at fault for whatever takes place, we can do this. That's definitely the fastest way to get most people back in gear. We haven't heard much further discussion on that, aside from there was more positive feedback than negative feedback, so we should hear more about these waivers come this week. But other positive news when it comes to the NFL and the hopeful 2020 season return is the fact that the league is discussing a mid-return. Power 5 commissioners will meet with Roger Goodell on Tuesday to confirm the possibilities of this return. Discussions in play is if they are permitted under governing states, facilities can reopen as soon as this coming Monday, May 19th, guys. No more than 50% of the staff can be at the facility, and they cannot exceed 75 persons. No coaches or players will be amongst this group of people just yet. I do understand the fact that they want to keep them extra safe. This is the meat to the situation and a fulfilling season. Other than players seeking medical attention or treatment, they will not be allowed in the doors just yet. Now, as long as this phase and this opening portion that begins Monday goes well, then the NFLPA will start talking with teams in terms of bringing on certain players that can start entering the facilities as well as certain coaches. So fingers crossed, guys, because we are one step closer to having like NFL back in our lives. It seems like things are progressing towards a June start date of most sports, but this is really good news and it's super exciting. Now, for some unfortunate NFL news, as we said, with the good comes a little bit of iffy or bad. And I never like to talk too much on the negative, the bad, or the unfortunate until we get full elongated details. But 2 cornerbacks in the league are wanted on robbery charges. Yikes. Giants cornerback Baker and Seahawks cornerback Dunbar. Dunbar is actually being looked at for 4 counts of aggravated assault. We don't know too much detail in terms of why, how, when, but we know that some jokes were made that aside from quarantine locking people up, then something else is taking place. But of course, when we know more information, you guys will know more information. Hopefully it's not as bad as it sounds, but it sounds pretty bad. As for other things that sound bad, let's talk about things getting blown out of proportion for a second. The strong and almighty James Harrison, we typically see him in headlines for the fact that he can bench press 10,000 pounds, squat 10,000 pounds. He's just a freak of nature. Everybody wishes they can train like him and eat like him. Well, you know, when you sit down with somebody that just feels comfortable, or in guys' terms, you have a bromance or you can bro out with somebody. Well, dude hopped on a podcast with Barstool Sports, and we know Barstool's a good time, especially if you're sitting down talking to El Presidente. And in some humorous notes in his conversation with El Presidente, he made a comment about how he was handed an envelope by Coach Tomlin after his 2020 helmet-to-helmet collision. Mind you, he was suspended for this hit. Now, the envelope created a lot of commotion because it's like, why is somebody handing you an envelope on the sidelines? It was basically assumed that Coach Tomlin paid him for that grand hit on the field. Now, of course, you have to go to the Steelers, ask them how true, how false. They said this is all false and blown out of proportion. Nothing of the matter took place. Harrison hopped on Instagram and angered and appalled, he said there was no bounty money given. The fact that you guys are using the term Bountygate right now is absolutely outrageous. And then the rant went on a little bit longer, but you know, we only have so long to go through all of that. Bottom line is, apparently nothing took place. There's no envelope. There was no money. Coach Tomlin would never ask his players to purposely hurt or put anybody out of the game. And he even made, if you hear one of the runbacks, he laughed about the whole envelope thing and then was like, well, I can't tell you what's in the envelope. So the envelope could have been code between, you know, they had been coach and teammate or coach and player relations for years and seasons. Like, envelope could have meant something completely different. And then he also kind of had a sideline note to the fact that, you know, and most of us can kind of agree on this, that a lot of the contact rules that started to go into play started to soften up the sport. Not that we're not worried about guys' overall health and we want to make it less injury prone, but there were certain calls that were constantly being thrown out that just kind of started to minimize the excitement of the game. So he kind of made a sideline note to that too. So we have no idea what envelope means, but the bottom line is there's no money and there's no pay for play of bad hit. Other NFL conversation. Wednesday, we announced the fact that the Rams proudly revealed their new uniforms. Some people were fans of this. You guys know, in my opinion, I miss the more navy gold look. I thought it was more of a rugged, you know, tough, hardcore BA Rams look. Well, somebody kind of agrees with me, not that we chatted about it personally or anything, but former LA Ram Eric Dickerson says the new Ram uniforms make them look soft. So he's happy to not be in that uniform. We know that the Rams will take on the Cowboys in the first game of the 2020 NFL season. And hopefully, you know, they'll have a killer game and people will not hate on the uniforms as much. We know if you play well, then automatically everything you wear looks better. The one thing that's going to make this uniform hard to look at is that Dickerson also said that the helmet doesn't even look like there's horns on it. The horns look like bananas. Yeah, I don't know how tough I'll feel if I'm rocking bananas on my helmet either. But as for guys that are all about style and flair and excitement, Baker Mayfield, we know that he is eager to, I don't want to say make a comeback, because it's not really a comeback. You know, when he came into the league, he already had so much pressure on his shoulders because he holds his head high. He's got that chip on his shoulder, and he's a confident dude. Why not? But when you're a confident young cat in the league, of course, people are going to give you some heat, and he's gotten plenty of it, especially because the Browns have not performed. Browns have Odell Beckham and Landry, and, you know, when you get all these names, you're just expected to be an overnight success rather than realizing that it takes some time for connecting all the pieces. Anyhow, Baker Mayfield is focused on these pieces connecting and the chemistry striking this season because even though it's COVID-19, he is inviting out wide receivers and tight ends to his home out in Texas to carry on safety first, but small little workouts with his teammates. You know, they got to build that chemistry regardless of COVID. This week included receivers Rashad Higgins and Damian Ratley and tight ends David Njoku and Austin Hooper. So hopefully, you know, at this point, we know everyone's going stir crazy in general. We know that a lot of these guys, again, this is their job. So we can only have so much say and so much input because like everybody else is itching to get back to their job and make their money. Athletes have the same thing. So imagine if you're not having that opportunity to build this chemistry. Virtual is awesome and all, and it gets to a funny point, but it's not the same thing. So they're being safe. The guys are, you know, working on being tested. They're working on monitoring symptoms regardless of the asymptomatic situation. But long story short, all is going well, and he should have another group out meeting with him this week. All right, guys, stay tuned for this quick commercial break as we talk some MLB and a very unhappy Blake Snell.
One of the things I love about Bass Pro is they have 3 great ways to shop. You can head into one of their awesome stores, visit BassPro.com, or get great gear from that catalog Johnny Morris sends out. Hi, here's your package. Bass Pro Shops, where commitment, passion, and the great outdoors all come together. Why would you shop anywhere else?
Welcome back, guys. All right, so as we mentioned, Blake Snell is one unhappy guy in the MLB. There's been a lot of conversation as to how the MLB is going to get their season underway, and it was the spring training 2.0 in June and the official opening day date in July of some sorts around July 4th. Well, Blake Snell said bottom line is he's not taking a pay reduction at all. Snell was set to make $7 million in the 2020 season, so yeah, we can all understand his frustration. In his own words, he said, bro, I'm risking my life. What do you mean it should not be a thing? It should 100% be a thing. If I'm going to play, I should be getting all the money that I signed to be getting paid, not half of what I'm getting paid. And then the season's cut in half. So on top of 33% cut of half that's already there, I'm basically getting like 25%. There's a lot going on there. In other words, he'd rather take 0 than 25%. Now, he somewhat makes a valid point to the fact that if he's going to make less money, it shouldn't be at the risk that it's coming at. Some people are on the scale that COVID-19 is not as big of a deal, or it's not as detrimental as it was initially announced to be. Other people are on the scale where they don't want to take the risk regardless of what other people are saying and thinking and making of it. We have to respect everybody's opinion, everybody's fear or lack thereof. The bottom line is that COVID has affected everybody differently. We had Von Miller come out a little over a month ago, diagnosed with COVID-19, and about 14 to 16 days later, he did overcome it. He was on the successful end of that battle. But we do know of many people who have not been on the successful end of the COVID-19 battle. So can you really blame him for thinking, I'd rather make nothing and not put my life at risk than to make a little bit of something while putting my life at risk, because he doesn't know what the toss-up will be on his life if he does come in contact with COVID-19. That is the unfortunate toss-up of this entire situation. So where would you be if you were Blake Snell and you had an opportunity to make $7 million that basically got cut down to 25% of $70 million? Would you still play? Yes or no? Leave us a comment below, shoot us a message, let us know where you stand on this, because he made it a hard no on his video. You could just hear the intensity in his voice, like he's frustrated. But I'd be frustrated too if everybody had an opinion on what I should do with my life in terms of me putting it at risk or not putting it at risk. It is what it is. Now for some soccer talk. We know that soccer was really the professional sport that got the ball rolling on everything opening back up. Soccer really kind of brought everybody back to life. Well, the exciting part here is that Bundesliga will be the first major European soccer league team to have a game starting tomorrow. If you guys are soccer fans, especially European soccer, Premier League, La Liga, everything else, like you guys know that Saturday and Sunday is that wake up at the crack of dawn and start watching the whole list of games throughout the day. So it's going to be pretty nuts to like wake up tomorrow and get that feeling all over again just for a minute. So I am a German soccer fan, and I don't say this well, so please, if you feel the need to tear me apart, have at it, but Bayern Munich is my favorite German soccer team. Even if I can't pronounce it, who cares? I will be so stoked to finally get to watch their games. They will be adding an extra safety precaution, of course. Hygiene protocol will be at the top of that list. These players need to make sure that they're keeping themselves clean all the time, especially when coming in and out of the facilities. They are also going to be required to maintain social distancing when they're not at the facility. In other words, they will still be doing at-home isolation when they're not in the facilities training, and they will be doing as many Zoom and virtual, team meetings, anything that they don't have to be in person for, which is physical training, they won't be in person for. So part of it will still be quite virtual, and then they cannot be out and about when they do get out of the facility. When they're home, they can't really be having a bunch of guests in and out. So they still have to maintain their distance from everybody else. They will also have a 5 substitution rule when on the field, and they'll release more information, but we will see this all play out tomorrow morning when the games resume. Now, we have a U.S. guy who's kicking ass and taking names. Christian Pulisic's not so warm welcome to Chelsea. There's been a lot of controversy to the fact that Chelsea didn't welcome him with open arms. Chelsea's ranked 4th in the league with 48 points from 29 games before the suspension of the season, and Pulisic is meant to be one of the top players in Chelsea and help Chelsea continue to make strong strides. He was a U.S. Soccer Federation's Men's Player of the Year in December, and he is also one of the highest U.S. international players. So maybe they're mad about like a money situation, or maybe it just takes a little bit more time for them to think that like you're worth, getting all hype about. We don't know what it's all about, but we do know that in the positive aspect of this, during COVID-19, Christian has had an opportunity to really heal up. He was battling a serious injury, and now he says he feels the fittest that he has ever felt. So he is psyched to return to Chelsea, prove himself, and get these fans on board. Now we head over to the NBA, whom we know, Miami opened up their facilities. You can go participate with a group of 4, no more than 4 being there. Other teams are looking to open up their facilities as well. There hasn't been much pushback from their players in terms of feeling like they're putting themselves at risk. That's the most information we have on that. But The Last Dance, we have talked about it here and there. The drama, the information that's just been popped out at us, everyone's outrageousness with everything. The 2-part series finale is on deck this Sunday. So the only question we really have about The Last Dance is, what has been your most shocking revelation? What have you been most excited to hear and learn about Michael Jordan? What was the most vulnerable thing that you heard that you never thought you would put a GOAT in the same category as? You know, what did you enjoy the most about this series? We know that most people said they could not turn it off, or no, we need more, like it cannot end. So we do want to know you guys' feedback. This has actually just been a phenomenal opportunity to see more into the life of Michael Jordan. It's hard when these people don't have an opportunity to really live their life in the public eye. So this just kind of gave us more insight into one of the biggest names in the world. So that has been an amazing opportunity. Regardless of us wanting more of The Last Dance, we still got plenty from what much we have, and we never know. Other players might start coming off and giving off more information that we can correlate with Michael Jordan's The Last Dance. So let us know your thoughts and how much you guys have enjoyed that series. Now, we head to another quick commercial break, but stay tuned as we talk NCAA football and NASCAR.
At Duke Energy, we deliver electricity and so much more, like free home energy assessments, rebates for energy-saving improvements, payment options to help you better manage your budget, and even bill credits for helping the community use less energy. So no matter what you're doing, we can help you make better energy choices every day. It's just another way we bring power to your life. How much can you save?
Welcome back, guys. All right, so for NCAA football and other NCAA sports, I didn't mean to just hone in on football. You see where my head's at today. We know that they've been getting a lot of pushback to not having an official comeback date. The bottom line is that these guys are really standing by themselves, standing strong on the fact that they do not want to put these people at risk, and student athletes are students first. They do not want athletes on campus until students are able to be on campus. Well, regardless of them saying that and trying not to be bullied into anything, the date May 22nd started getting kicked around for them to start opening up campuses to allow student athletes back on, and then they started kicking around June 1. Well, Coach Lincoln took to an interview on ESPN as well as social media to say June is just way too soon. They're not comfortable with it. What we have noticed is that if people don't have protocols in like ready to go, they're not really forcing them to get much done. They are pushing them to start creating that protocol sheet so that they can create an official start date. But if they don't have a protocol sheet, they can't really force the matter too much because medical teams and everybody else has to have their say and check off on it. So we don't know if this is really going to happen, but so far it looks like they're trying to push for student athletes to get back on campus come June. It looks like most things are really going to make a June comeback as long as everything, again, medically is checked off. Now, we had told you guys on Wednesday that NASCAR will be back on Sunday, even though they haven't had any practice besides virtual tracks. Jimmy Johnson called it nutty, to say the least. But there's one name who will be back on that track regardless of his insane accident. As you guys recall, Daytona 500, the top of the year, Ryan Newman had a massive car accident at closing out the 2020 race, putting him in the hospital. It took some time for him to come back conscious. Newman took to social media to say he doesn't remember anything from the accident in the hospital. The only thing he remembers is embracing his children. But he knows that God was a part of this situation, because just to walk away from that accident and to be able to get back in a car is a miracle in itself. So our miracle man, Ryan Newman, will be racing this Sunday. Nothing is stopping him from getting back on that track. So we wish him the best of luck and the utmost protection. All right, guys, you do not want to miss FNN Sports Take with me, Kasey Hudson, because we will have another Hudson on the show next Wednesday at 8 p.m. No, we're not related, but I mean, I think I'm pretty cool, so I think this guy should be pretty cool. Tanner Hudson with the Tampa Bay Bucks, you see him at the tight end position, will join us on Wednesday at 8 p.m. Hudson's name, besides mine, became very known in the 2019 preseason as he started showing up and showing off a little bit, and then we heard his name a bit more as he was stepping in for Cameron Brate on some pretty clutch plays. So we get to talk with him, see how his quarantine's been going, what he's looking forward to in the upcoming season, and how he's managing virtual OTAs on Wednesday at 8 p.m. You don't want to miss that. Mark it in your calendar, and I will remind you on Monday. So till then, I will see you guys Monday here at 8 p.m. at FNN Sports Take with me, Kasey Hudson. You guys have a great weekend and stay safe.